Dobry wieczór. Tutaj William. Witajcie na sotygodniowym podsumowaniu Polskiej Wiadomości Zemne. William Murphy. The main news developments over the past week have included: the Supreme Court rules the National Council of the Judiciary is not impartial or independent. German Chancellor Angela Merkel visits the Auschwitz-Birkenau Nazi German concentration camp. The new Polish Nobel laureate, Olga Tokarczuk, makes her acceptance address. And 317 Poles are among the latest batch of new Irish citizens. In a judgment last Thursday, the Polish Supreme Court ruled that the newly constituted National Council of the Judiciary is not impartial or independent, and that the disciplinary chamber of the Supreme Court is not a court under EU and national law. The ruling followed that of the European Court of Justice on the 19th of November, which determined that it was up to the Polish court itself to rule on the independence of the country's judicial organs. The ruling came on a lawsuit taken by Supreme Court and Supreme Administrative Court justices over retirement issues. Given the ongoing conflict between members of the Polish judiciary and the government, this most recent Supreme Court ruling won't have surprised many. A new European Commission Vice President has said she's keen to visit Warsaw as soon as possible to progress issues concerning the rule of law in Poland. Vera Jourova was speaking on Tuesday ahead of a meeting of European Affairs Ministers in Brussels for talks focusing on Poland. The Commissioner for Justice, Didier Reynders, said that, unfortunately, we have seen negative evolutions in the last weeks and months since the last discussions on Poland and Hungary. The controversy over the President of the Supreme Audit Office, Marian Banish, has continued this week, with Banish saying he was at one point prepared to resign, but decided to fight on as he felt his office had become the victim of a political campaign. In a statement last Wednesday, he said that he was ready to submit his resignation, but "I became the victim of a brutal political game." He pledged to cooperate with investigators and, if necessary, to relinquish his immunity, but said, "I shall continue my mission with a sense of responsibility. As the head of the office, I mustn't allow it to become the object of political games and bargaining." The opposition is pressing for the report on Banish, compiled by the Central Anti-Corruption Bureau, to be presented to the same. The Internal Security Agency has now also launched an investigation into Banish. At least one of the recent judicial-related controversies looks to have come to a conclusion. This concerned 3 controversial government choices for appointment to the Constitutional Tribunal, most especially that of Stanislaw Petrovich, due to his past as a prosecutor during the communist regime. Last Thursday, President Duda swore in the 3, including Stanislaw Petrovich, a former Prawo i Sprawiedliwość Sejm member whose reputation has been defended by many, including Jarosław Kaczynski, at a low-key ceremony in the Belvedere Palace, held in the absence of the press. Last Friday, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, accompanied by Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, visited the site of the former Nazi German concentration camp of Auschwitz-Birkenau. It was her first visit as Chancellor to the notorious death camp, and the visit followed in the footsteps of her recent predecessors. During the visit, Merkel said that she felt deep shame given the barbaric crimes that were committed here by Germans, adding that Auschwitz was a German extermination camp operated by Germans. It is important for me to stress this fact. Germany's federal government and 16 states have announced a €60 million contribution to the cost of maintaining the site. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Morawiecki has called on Austria to purchase the site of the former Gusen Nazi German concentration camp on its territory. An estimated 27,000 Poles were among those who died at that camp. This coming Saturday, a primary election takes place within the ranks of Platforma Obywatelska to decide on the party's presidential nominee. The 2 candidates are the front-runner and former prime ministerial candidate Małgorzata Kidawa-Błońska and the mayor of Poznan, Jacek Jaskowiak. A debate between the 2 candidates took place last Saturday, which covered topics ranging from foreign policy to the economy and the environment. They differed on the question of energy policy, with Kidawa-Błońska wanting Poland to abandon coal by 2035, while Jaskowiak said this wasn't possible for 20 to 30 years and highlighted the prevalence of energy poverty. Poland has moved back home over 100 tonnes of gold bars it had stored in the UK. They were transported back in a secret mission over several months by the security company G4S. It's been revealed the last transfer was on November 22nd. The bars are worth approximately £4 billion sterling. Poland has been building up its gold reserves. The precious metal now accounts for around 10% of the central bank's reserves, still half the average in Europe. Following last week's NATO summit near London, on Friday the Turkish Foreign Minister insisted that his country will still block final approval of the NATO defence plan for Poland and the Baltic nations until Turkish demands for the Kurdish YPG militia to be designated a terrorist organisation are met. He claimed that Ankara had agreed to move the plan to the next stage, but had not given final approval. He said that the plan will not be published until our plan is published too. Ankara wants their defence plan to endorse Turkey's view of the YPG. Speaking in Brussels on Tuesday, the new EU Agriculture Commissioner, Janusz Wojciechowski, pledged to protect the agriculture budget in the face of new environmental initiatives. Wojciechowski said that, for a higher contribution to the Green Deal, we need a higher contribution to the agriculture budget. He wants agriculture subsidies to be equalised across all member states. On Sunday, around 200 people protested outside the Russian embassy in Warsaw at plans for closer integration between Russia and Belarus. It followed talks on what was termed an integration roadmap between Presidents Putin and Lukashenko in the Russian city of Sochi the previous day. Protests also took place in Minsk on Saturday. Last Saturday, Olga Tokarczuk, recently announced as the winner of the 2018 Nobel Prize for Literature, delivered her Nobel address in Stockholm. She said that people have lost the ability to perceive the world as a living whole, adding that, when I write, I have to feel everything within myself. She claimed that the world is dying and we don't even notice, and that literature can help to overcome this challenge. At a press conference the previous evening, she claimed that her comments after her win was announced may have influenced votes in the recent Polish general election, saying, "My spontaneous reaction was to dedicate this award to the democratic movement in Poland, and I asked people to vote for democracy and against totalitarian tendencies. And this speech of mine was quite warmly received, and I think it might have had some influence on the elections." A competition is being launched to select a design for a new monument in Warsaw to commemorate the 1920 battle between Polish and invading Russian forces, known as the Miracle of the Vistula. The new monument is expected to be unveiled on August 15th next, to mark the 100th anniversary of the battle, Culture Minister Piotr Gliński told reporters last Thursday. On Monday, 2 citizenship ceremonies took place at the National Convention Centre in Killarney, County Kerry, at which 2,000 people from 103 countries became Irish citizens. As on previous occasions, the largest single nationality represented was Polish, with 317, followed by people from the UK on 260 and Romania on 184. The ceremony is the latest in a series of such events which have taken place since 2011, but was the first since a High Court ruling last July that citizenship applicants had to be resident in the state at all times for at least 12 months. That ruling, by Justice Max Barrett, was subsequently overturned by the Court of Appeal last month. As a result of the backlog caused by the delay, thousands more new Irish citizens are expected to be confirmed in the first 2 months of the new year. Monday's ceremonies were attended by the Minister for Justice and Equality, Charlie Flanagan, and were presided over by retired High Court Judge Brian McMahon. He urged the new citizens not to forget where they came from, saying, "This state does not require you to forget the country you came from or erase your personal histories." Tushescu Nachanchijan. As this is our last programme of 2019, on behalf of all the Irlandia team, I'd like to wish all our listeners a very happy Christmas and prosperous New Year. We look forward to being with you again in early January. To nás ostatní program v tym roku, dlatego chcielibyśmy złożyć razem słuchaczom najświetniejsze życzenia Visoid swant I chelish vishego novego rocco ad nas vistich tutai verhal Irlandia. Do Virginia Nepochanku Stichnia. The Branots.